Thank you very much, Pietro, for inviting me. It's a complicated situation. I can talk about my job in Italy, and as a food technologist and nutrition expert, I help food companies to produce new healthy and sustainable foods. This is the first step of my job, because the most difficult part is therefore to find an effective way to communicate the properties of the new products that we put on the market. This means to talk about food labels and claims, because today it's very difficult for a producer to speak clearly to consumers. And on the other hand, it's very difficult for a consumer to understand the real quality of the food by just reading the labels. I really hope that the Farm to Fork strategy will improve the situation. And I think it will depend on some choices that we will have to make in the next 4 years, no more. Really, Farm to Fork is a very important part of the European Green Deal that is strongly related with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and the new Common Agricultural Policy we are waiting for. It's a complex landscape, and if we want to be successful, I think we must establish a new agreement between all the players in the agri-food system, and it must be an agreement based on a shared idea of food quality and the sustainability of the food system. And we need consistency and effectiveness in communicating this idea of quality at every level. So let's try to define a shared idea of food quality. Until a few years ago, what the quality was related only to safety of the food, to its taste, and to its nutritional value. Quality simply was a generic attribute related with our personal satisfaction. Now it's different. Farm to Fork promotes a qualitative leap. Of course, I want my food is safe, good, nutritious, and also rewarding. But it's not enough. It must be also be produced with respect for the environment, and it is respectful of ethical principles. And in farm, in one word, we can say the food of the future must be sustainable. And in Farm to Fork, we can find many words that clearly define what sustainability is. Words such as biodiversity, fair trade, animal welfare, organic and precision agriculture, short supply chain. But this quality leap requires a strong commitment. A strong commitment that involves either the world of production and the world of consumption of food. Producers must find an effective way to communicate the real value of their products in terms of sustainability. And the consumers must improve their level of awareness in order to understand the real value about the food. And so we have to talk, just a minute, thank you. We have to talk about communication. No, it's a communication problem. But in the last 20 years, communication has dramatically changed with the success of social media. Vertical communication, where the expert speaks to the public, has turned into a non-intermediated horizontal communication in which everyone is an expert. And this is a very big problem, because Due to these changes in communication, the health and nutritional claims, good in the intentions, have produced perverse effects. The times of scientific research are much slower than the rhythms imposed by the market. Communication is very fast, too fast. So in some cases, scientific research has stopped. An example are probiotic foods. Nothing in investing time and resources in research about probiotic now. It's more comfortable to choose a claim such as vitamin B6 is good for immunity system, and add this vitamin to probiotics food and use this claim. Claims have often become a shortcut for judging the entire quality of food, even they concern only a single aspect of its composition. In this way, the actual claims indirectly support a magical thought, I think, that it's based on a quantity of fake news and divides food into medicines and poisons. A thought that is successful because it's simple, it's reassuring, it's fascinating, but I think it's very, very dangerous. So what we can do? I think we have to reestablish the dialogue between those who produce and those who consume through a circular communication that points to restore trust and to create a space of shared knowledge here, not here or just here, a shared knowledge in which producer, experts, and consumers can dialogue, and in which citizens can play a critical role based on awareness. Through farm to fork, new labels, I think should facilitate this process. And we can find, if we take a look at the strategy, there are several points in the farm to fork action plan that relate to communication. In the chapter promotes sustainable food consumption, facilitating the shift towards healthy, sustainable diets, we find some interesting actions. The first one, proposal for an harmonized mandatory front of pack nutrition labeling to enable consumers to make health conscious food choices. But I have a doubt. It is in order to promote the idea of the traffic lights label. I hope it isn't, but I'm not sure. The second, proposal to require origin indication for certain products. I don't know if it's really necessary. We already have a regulation for the use of marks of typicity in Europe. Then we have a proposal for a sustainable food labeling framework to empower consumers to make sustainable food choices. In details, Commission will examine ways to create a sustainable labeling framework that covers the nutritional, climate, environmental, and social aspect of food products. It seems to be very, very complicated for me. Then we have a review of the EU school scheme legal framework with a view to refocus the scheme on healthy and sustainable food. I think this is very important. I think we need an European food education program. And in the chapter, last but not least, in the chapter Reduce Food Lost and Waste, we find proposal for a revision of EU rules on date marking. use by and best before dates. I think it's really necessary. Finally, I want to present some questions that I think it's important to consider now for the future. What should the purpose of the label be? Directing the choice, but by substituting the citizen critical thinking, or providing sufficient information so that the citizen can freely choose? Of course, I hope for the second. Are we sure that the label really has to tell everything about a product? Which nutritional and health claims are really useful? And I read some new research. Most of people can't understand the real significance of the claim. This is the reality. Are there different and more effective forms of communication? Could online shopping be an opportunity to communicate in a different way? I think so. Food education, can it be a keyword for the future? I don't know really the answer, but I'm sure we need simplicity. And in conclusion, I want to remember what the Greek sculptor Constantin Brancusi said. Simplicity is complexity resolved, not avoided. And I think that we think too much to traffic lights claims. We avoid the complexity and we don't solve it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Giorgio.